Knowledge is absolutely fundamental in achieving competitive advantage in today's market, especially in today's economic situation. More generally speaking, there are many things that can create competitive advantage, such as unique manufacturing techniques, intellectual property, but over time in competitive markets, these advantages are slowly lost. What truly differentiates organizations and allows them to achieve a sustainable competitive advantage is the process of making intelligent decisions every day, extracting insight from your operations, your customer information, to take better decisions in the marketplace, and to do this consistently and put increasing distance between you and your competition. If an organization learns to use knowledge against its competition and for the benefit of its customers, then truly that is a competitive advantage that no other organization can easily copy, and that to me is sustainable competitive advantage. First challenge when you talk about knowledge processes within an organization is, where do these knowledge processes actually exist? Naturally there are certain parts of organizations, such as, the risk department for a bank, that are well developed. It's fairly evident within the organization that this is an analytically rich environment, and those are typically well looked after, well staffed, well resourced. But analytical needs within large organizations span a variety of different functional areas: planning, sales, marketing, R&D, and it's rare to find organizations that have well developed knowledge processes across the entire span of their functions. So the first thing is that management is typically not aware of where these knowledge processes reside. They're also not aware maybe of what kind of an impact these knowledge processes are having on the decisions they're taking, and whether that is an optimal impact or whether that impact could be enhanced. These processes are also scattered within an organization in the sense that they span across a variety of different functions. On the other hand, they are often consolidated around headquarters, but rarely visible in other parts of what are typically global organizations. So, and a good example is a very large company might have a tremendous amount of knowledge processes at its headquarters in the U.S., but when it comes to their operations in emerging markets like India and China, obviously critical markets from a going forward perspective, these younger organizations are typically starved of the analytical capabilities that are enjoyed by departments and functions closer to the headquarters situation. So that's another feature of knowledge processes. Then another typical problem is that organizations find it difficult to recruit and staff the talent to fill these knowledge process roles. Of course, if you're a large organization, if you're in the top 1, 2, 3, maybe even 5 players in an industry, then talent like this would like to work for your organization. But companies that are smaller, or companies that are less analytically sophisticated, would find it difficult to find the right talent, and talent in adequate numbers to staff these knowledge processes in a manner that would be optimal. Not to mention that these resources where the individual has a functional capability, like he's a statistician or some other type of analyst, but also has domain knowledge, is familiar with the pharmaceutical industry or familiar with the CPG industry. These are expensive resources to find and recruit. So these are some of the challenges that organizations face when it comes to their knowledge processes. If organizations want to become knowledge-centric, there are 3 basic steps we believe they should take. The first and the most important one is to set up the right kind of culture, or begin to change the culture of the organization, so that quantitative approaches to decision-making and problem-solving are encouraged and rewarded within the middle-level management team. And hopefully, this entire culture change actually comes from the fact that senior management gets more number-oriented in the way it takes its decisions. So intuition will always have a very important role. So business leaders have context with respect to markets, competitors, etc. That is obviously extremely important in taking decisions. But whether the decisions are strategic, such as which markets to play in, which products to choose from an R&D pipeline, or whether they are tactical, it depends, talking about how money is spent on marketing expenditures on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, or deciding price points for different SKU variants. All of these decisions, if the senior management encourages the organization to take these decisions with a fair amount of quantitative analytics and research supporting them, then over time the culture of the organization will change and it will want to become more knowledge-centric. So that's step number one. The second thing is that to set up knowledge processes around the areas where you want to take quantitative-led decisions. This means having the right people in the right roles, having standardized approaches to solving problems throughout an organization across geographies, making sure that the people are appropriately skilled to address the opportunity and they're shared appropriately within the organization. So that really is the next step. Setting up the right knowledge processes, standardizing them, making sure that they achieve the right quality, from a decision-making perspective. And finally, the third important thing is to make sure that these groups that you set up within the organization, even if they are primarily supporting certain functional areas like sales and marketing, are set up in an appropriate manner so that the cost for them is variable, there is efficiency in the way the talent is used, it is centralized in a manner that a variety of different parts of an organization can leverage it. So getting the right delivery structure for these knowledge processes is probably the third most important step in making an organization knowledge-centric. I think that creating culture change within an organization really is something which senior management is best placed to do. Obviously, we think that as a provider that has worked with a number of organizations that are knowledge centric, we can suggest ways in which senior management can bring these changes about. But I think the value addition of an organization like WNS is fundamentally on the knowledge process design side as well as on the delivery structure side. So having worked with a number of very large companies and having been involved in the way they aggregate and disseminate knowledge, we're in a position to guide our clients on how these knowledge processes can be designed. And this is across any function, whether it's sales, marketing, R&D, or planning, or any one of these. So we're in a position to actually help companies design these knowledge processes and then more importantly perhaps deliver them through our operations capabilities, which means that these processes will be appropriately designed, they will be consistent, they will be quality checked, they will be backed by the right kind of resources, whether they're statisticians or MBAs, analysts or specialists within an industry such as doctors in the pharmaceutical space or marketers. So organizations like ours are in a position to recruit this kind of talent, make it available on tap, which variabilizes the cost structure for our customers, and then finally make it scalable. So whether our customers are large international conglomerates and we have to deliver this kind of analytical support across 50, 60, 70 different countries, we're in a position to provide these resources in a highly variable, highly scalable manner. And this would be the real value which a knowledge process outsourcer such as WNS could provide to a customer.